So here I am on my way home. I get home from work after 1 o'clock last night, tired. Um, but I decided before I go to bed, I'll just go on YouTube for a bit, see what my subscriptions are saying, see what I missed while I was at work. And I get this subscription from Sawyer about these supposed One Piece spoilers that are out that could very well be true about the overall plot that Oda had planned for the end of the series, and uh, some information that might make people believe that this theory is actually true. And this is supposedly some source from some One Piece graphic artist who used to work on the series. Overall, this thing reeks of fake fanboy fanfiction from beginning to end, and fake spoilers. And it makes you wonder why anyone would believe this, but let's just go through it. I went through it, I read the entire thing, because I was not in any fear that the end of One Piece would be spoiled for me, frankly. This is clearly someone who, you know, is not, thinking the entire plot through. Whoever made this was not a plot overview that Oda had, because if Oda had the plot, it would have been like 5 times longer, and the plot would have been the highlight of his overview, because that's the one thing Oda does. He doesn't spend too much time on fights. He does more world building. That's his strength. And a plot overview that doesn't focus on world building and focuses on fights and individual fight moments is clearly not something that Oda would do. It's something that a fan would do. And I read it from the very beginning. You could have stopped after the first paragraph, because it goes into stuff that will happen in Whole Cake Island, and it says, and I paraphrase here, that the Vinsmoke family will unlock the shackles on Sanji after they reconcile with him, and they will allow him to escape. They will block Big Mom's path and allow Sanji to escape. Right there, once you read that, you should know that this entire thing is going to be garbage, rubbish, because that's clearly not where Whole Cake Island is heading. The Vinsmokes are made very clearly to be a reference to the Nazis. They're incredibly racist, but they're also incredibly ambitious. They have their own goals. They're willing to upset the natural balance that they have with the world government to ally with Big Mom, because they think it will put them closer to what their intended goal is, which is to take back over the entirety of North Blue. This is an evil organization. This is an evil army out for their own um, flourishment, their own progress. They're not in it to save people, especially someone like Sanji, who apparently brings disrespect and they've mistreated his entire life. The last chapter proves without a shadow of a doubt that there's no way that Sanji and the Vinsmokes can ever reconcile. So this entire theory is pretty much debunked just in the first few lines. But people say let's continue. And of course the whole Big Mom section that they make is like 5 lines long, because they have no idea what they're going to do with the whole K Island arc. There's just so much left to talk about in it. And of course Jinbei joins, unceremoniously. Whatever happens there, what happens to Aladdin, what happens to Brooke, Pedro, no mention. All right, let's just move on straight to Wano. And they move straight to Wano, moving past plot points such as Nekomamushi on this solo mission to find Marco. What came of that? Nothing. We don't need to know. Okay. Momonosuke staying on Zou with Inuarashi. What came of that? Who knows? All of that stuff is left hanging. So we move straight on to Wano. And apparently the plan is to attack 2 weeks after Luffy arrives, because they need to train their haki. Not like it took them 2 years to get to where they are with haki, but apparently 2 weeks will be enough to make the difference against calamities who are clearly super strong, and Kaido, who have had haki for probably decades now and have been training it and have been at the top of the One Piece world with it and fighting against the rest of the top of the One Piece world with it for years. But apparently 2 weeks will make the difference in some hidden location in Wano. And then the war begins with Kaido, and they just attack. And it breaks down in a way where some samurai help us against the calamities, Inuarashi and Nekomamushi. In the other two calamities, he clearly has no ideas for. He gives them random names and random bounties that are all 100 million step downs from Jack. It's ridiculous. And they fight against random people who we don't know. Basically, they fight against Nekomamushi Inuarashi, even though they've lost a leg and an arm. I don't think they'd be able to hold their own against Calamity anymore. But you know, that's it. That's neither here nor there. And of course, random Calamity with 800 million, samurai and stuff. They just fight. And Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei fight Jack because clearly this person has no scope of what is to come. That's the truth. They throw in the line about the samurai there, but they have no idea how many samurai are going to be in this final war. There's no mention, of course, of Kaido's alliance with the Shogun and his forces and how many samurai we're going to actually be fighting against. There's no mention about the clans that join us. There's no mention about the history with Oden and the samurai and how they built the poneglyphs. There's no mention of any of that stuff. There are no big revelations. In this plot overview by Oda decides that for a plot overview of the end of the series, supposedly that is authentic because a One Piece graphic artist who worked on the series knows about it. Um, Oda focuses on the fights. He doesn't focus on the history of Wano or any of the cool historical stuff he's going to be playing around with in that arc. Because if you don't know, Wano is going to be based on the Boshin War, which is or should I say Boshin Revolution, a real thing that happened in Japan where there were warring clans warring over the right to release the borders and free Japan up to the rest of the world, because Japan was still in the feudal era. This happened in 18 something. Just do a little research on it, that's how you make the theories. You go and look for the historical references. But he makes no attempt at doing this. Um, so all of this plot points left, just hanging in midair, unanswered. But we get the fight with Kaido and the supernovas. And this is where you know that this person they write out the fight. They've got a clearer vision for the fight than they do for the story, because they start off with Kaido's overpowering them, but he's having a hard time with their strategy. Right there, he contradicts himself in one statement. He goes in. He does this several times, where a character is supposedly really strong and overpowering them, but then they're having trouble for some reason, not explained. And he makes vague statements such as "Kid awakens" and does massive damage to Kaido with his awakening. But you don't get any specifics on what his awakening is and why it would be able to damage Kaido. This is a guy that would have fought Whitebeard at one point. Whitebeard, the man who could destroy the world. Uh, you know, you know how this is, but Kid's awakening, it's special. Luffy has a gear 5 that he only uses against Yonko because apparently he has the ability to ramp up his skills to the level of whatever character he's fighting when he needs to. I guess his name is Natsu Dragon Eel or something. Um, this is not Fairy Tail. This is not where you're getting the Kama power-ups and the Kama punches that are at the level you need them when you need them at all times. Luffy is clearly not capable of fighting a Yonko. I think that's what the entire point of making him struggle against Cracker is, especially a Yonko who's considered the strongest creature in the world. Like, seriously, why would anyone believe these spoilers are real? I'm going through them, of course. Zoro wank. He opens his eye, power up. Yippee. That's how hockey works nowadays, people. You open your eye and you become super powerful. This is Naruto now. And I actually don't doubt the idea that Zoro would open his eye. I mean, Oda has not addressed the eye at all. So why have him keep it closed or at least not address it? If he lost it, he lost it. But I would not be surprised if he does open it and somehow that is Zoro's really let's get serious phase. I mean, it's just as much a power up in his confidence than anything else, because it's just like when he put on the bandana pre-time skip. Nothing before or after the bandana is different other than Zoro's focus and his drive to win. So opening his eye, I guess, being another level to that is completely understandable, but not another source of haki, and it somehow gives him super awareness or whatever. That's not something Oda has set up in any way, form, or fashion. It's not something Oda's just gonna pull out of thin air. So then we go on and we go through this, and Kaido gets defeated and yada yada. And I'm gonna skip through because the final section of this is really where it goes off the rails. Basically, Luffy dies, Law revives him, they get captured by the Marines are going to execute them, and every single person that has assisted Luffy in the end of the series comes to his aid at this giant war, like Whitebeard trying to save Ace style, led by Zoro and his Grand Fleet, to save Luffy. from being killed by the world government. And of course, because the news of Kaido's defeat spreads around the world, all the major parties are interested. Blackbeard shows up, Dragon and the Revolutionary Army show up, even though they just lost their base. They have a whole bunch of wars fighting around the world that they have to try and secure. That they're on the verge of winning because Doflamingo was defeated. They're trying to find a new base. Clearly, they're going to the new Kama Island at least to recuperate. That was obvious from the cover story. But no mention of what they're doing and what is important to their plot. They're just going to drop everything to come and observe this war. And then they get involved when the world government shows up. Because why? Because their goal is to defeat the world government. Because this is the escalation for final war, people. Forget the origin of Devil Fruits. Forget the Lost Road Poneglyph. Forget Vegapunk. Forget One Piece. Forget all of that stuff. Forget Elbaf. Forget any other thing that has been set up before the series. After Luffy dies at the hands of Kaido, we are going to have final war. You know what? I am done talking about this. This is trash theory, trash fan fiction, garbage tier. Not worth your time, waste of my time. Anyway, I'm done. Have a good day. Wasabifold out.